Hello, readers. Welcome to reading class with me, Miss Taylor. I am very glad you're here. All right, so let's see. Are we ready to read? Do we have our textbook, bookmark, workbook, pencil? I think I'm all set to go. All right, some things we're going to keep in mind. We're going to remember to track with our finger. We're going to remember to read each word carefully. We're going to pay attention to end marks. Some of our goals for today, we're going to read with accuracy and expression. We're going to understand what's happening in the story. We are going to make connections to how characters are feeling, and we're going to enjoy the story. All right, so some things to keep in mind as we read. There are so many things going on in our brains. We are making connections, we're visualizing, we're kind of painting that picture, we're asking questions, we're summarizing, we're predicting, we're synthesizing, we're inferring. All kinds of things are happening in our brains. So we will try to just be aware of all of those things that are happening. So for today, we have a new vocabulary sentence. Ooh, this guy is going, P-U. And that is because our new vocabulary sentence is the smell attracted flies immediately. Ooh, stinky. So maybe you can imagine, ooh, what is something that I've smelled that's kind of stinky? I know sometimes when I'm taking out the garbage and then I lift up the garbage can to put the new garbage in the garbage can, it's like, ooh, some old garbage in there. It's real stinky. Yikes. So the smell attracted flies. If the smell attracted flies, the smell really interested the flies and made them move toward the smell. Ooh. So everybody, what word means really interested the flies? Yeah, attracted. Nice job. The sentence says that the smell attracted flies immediately, and immediately means right now. So which word means right now? Immediately. Like if I was smelling something so stinky, I would want to leave immediately, right? I would want to go away from that smell. Alrighty, nice job, second graders. So again, our vocabulary sentence, the smell attracted flies immediately. All right. Would you please open up with me in your textbook onto page 104? And on page 104, we are looking at lesson 21, and we have a few word lists here, and we are going to find out what happened with Umu and Ulak. So our first part for our story for today, our nonfiction part, is about clouds. It's called Facts About Clouds. And then our main story, our fiction selection, The Killer Whales Wait. So we're going to find out what happens with the killer whales. All right, but first, let's look at our words. Please have your finger ready in your book, following along with me. Word one is mukluks. What word? Mukluks are very warm boots that the Eskimos wore. And sometimes still do. Mukluks. It's kind of a fun word to say. Word two is wrist. What word? Word three is hailstone. What word? And word four is playfully. What word? Nice job. Let's go the fast way. Mukluks. Wrist. Hailstone. Playfully. Nice job. All right, let's go to column two. So all of these words have endings. Word one is gulped. What word? Yeah, when you gulp something, you swallow it quickly. If you were really thirsty, you might gulp some water. Gulp, gulp, gulp. All right. Let's see. Word two is gently. What word? Gently. And I always used to tell my son, he's 5 now, but when he was little, I would say, oh, pet the cat gently. Don't be too rough. Pet her gently. So if you do something gently, you do it with, kind of calm and slow. The opposite would be rough, right? In a rough way. It's too rough. Do it gently. All right, word three is ode. What word? Something that you owe is something you must pay. If you owe $5, you must pay $5. Owed. All right. Word 4 is wavy. What word? Word 5 is kneeled. What word? Word 6 is dense. What word? Nice job. Let's go the fast way. So we're in column 2. Gulped. Gently. Owed. Wavy. Kneeled. Dense. Nice job. And column 3. Word 1 is rose. What word? Something that moves today rises. Something that moved yesterday rose. So you could say, oh, yesterday the sun rose, or this morning the sun rose. Rose in the sky. All right, word 2 is sight. What word? A sight is something you see. A terrible sight is something terrible you see. But if you saw something wonderful, you could say, oh, what a wonderful sight. Like students doing a wonderful job in their reading workbook, writing so neatly and carefully. It's a wonderful sight. All right, word 3, what word? Marble. And word 4, what word? Dove. Nice job. All righty. Let's go ahead and turn to part B, facts about clouds. Ooh. So we are going to read the next story about Umu and Ulak, but first we have an information passage. It gives some facts about clouds. Oh, and there goes Miss Taylor's lights. Taylor's lights are always going on and off, aren't they? Back to your lights. Here we go. I just rose from my chair and I walked over and the lights came on. All right. So everybody please touch the title. What's the title? Facts about clouds. Nice job. Let's read. You have read about a big storm cloud. Here are facts about clouds. Clouds are made up of tiny drops of water. So clouds are made of tiny, tiny, tiny drops of water. I thought they were made of cotton balls. In clouds that are very high, the water drops are frozen. Here is how those clouds look. So everybody, in what kind of clouds are the water drops frozen? Yeah, those clouds that are really high up in the sky. Really high clouds have little drops of water that are frozen. Touch a high cloud. Those clouds are very pretty in the sunlight because the light bounces off the tiny frozen drops. So they're very pretty. Some kinds of clouds may bring days of bad weather. These are low, flat clouds that look like bumpy blankets. Ooh, and we're going to learn a little bit later this year in our unit on weather, our science unit, that those low, flat clouds that bring precipitation and sometimes bad weather are called stratus clouds. All right, so these low, flat clouds can sometimes bring bad weather. And that kind of cloud does not pass by quickly. So please touch a low, flat cloud. And those clouds could be around for days at a time. Some clouds are storm clouds. They are flat on the bottom, but they go up very high. Sometimes they are 5 miles high. Oh my goodness, 5 miles high. And later in the year when we learn about this, we're going to learn that those high clouds, those high storm clouds are called cumulonimbus. All right. The arrows in picture 3 show how the winds move inside a storm cloud. Oh, and this picture here is picture 3. There's the storm cloud. All right. The winds move water drops to the top of the cloud. Everyone touch the number 1 that is inside the cloud. So in your book, if you could touch the number 1 right here. That's where a drop of water starts. The wind blows it up to the top of the cloud. So it goes from 1 up to the 2. So you can trace it with your finger. So the temperature of the air at the top of the cloud is freezing cold. So as you move your finger up, it's really cold. And then it gets so cold and then it drops down. So you can follow your finger. It starts at number 1, goes up, freezes, and then it falls back down. The drops freeze. Oops. Oh, sorry. There we go. The drops freeze. When a drop freezes, it becomes a tiny hailstone. So everybody, what do we call it when a drop moves up and freezes and then falls down? That's a hailstone. So the drop starts here at number 1. It goes up, it freezes, freezes up there, and then it drops down and it becomes a little ball of ice. It's called a hailstone. The tiny hailstone falls to the bottom of the cloud. So everyone, if you touch the number 2 in the cloud, at the number 2 mark, that is where it freezes. And now it falls down. So if you follow your finger down to the other side, that's where it falls down. And at the bottom, it's warmer. So it's warm. You can see the word here, warm. Freezing cold. It freezes as a drop of, a hailstone, a frozen drop of water. And then it falls down where it's warm again. At the bottom of the cloud, the tiny hailstone gets covered with more water. Then it goes up again and freezes again. So here it starts out as warm, a warm drop of water. It goes up here, it freezes, falls back down, it gets warm, it gets covered with another, like a layer of ice. It goes up again, it freezes, falls back down. I think it's going to happen again. Now the hailstone is a little bigger. It keeps going around and around in the cloud until it gets so heavy that it falls from the cloud. Sometimes it is as big as a baseball. Sometimes it is smaller than a marble. All right, so everyone, one more time, touch the number 1 in the cloud. Pretend your finger is a drop. So try to go up and up and down a few times to see what can happen with a hailstone. So as it goes up, it freezes, it kind of melts a little bit and forms another layer as it freezes again, and it falls down. And then it freezes again, and it falls down. And it freezes again. So each time it's going up, it's having another layer of ice on it. If you want to see how many times a hailstone has gone to the top of the cloud, break the hailstone in half. You'll see rings. Ooh. So inside of a hailstone, if you cut it in half, you'll see little rings. Each ring shows 1 trip to the top of the cloud. Count the rings and you'll know how many times the hailstone went through the cloud. Hailstone A went through the cloud 3 times. Oh, here's hailstone A. So you can see 1, 2, 3. So it has like 3 layers or 3 rings. So it went through the cloud 3 times. The rings are numbered. Everybody count the rings in hailstone A out loud, starting with the center circle. Get ready. 1, 2, 3. See, that's 3 layers. How many times did hailstone B go through the cloud? How many times? 7. So hailstone B over here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 7 times. Hailstone B went through a cloud 7 times. Ooh, so that's interesting. If you break a hailstone in half, you can see by the number of layers or the number of rings on the hailstone how many times it went through a cloud. All right, let's go ahead and turn to part C. Part C, the killer whale's weight. Oh dear. All right, let's find out what happened with Umu and Ulak. All right, the killer whale's weight. Please follow along with me in your book. Track with your finger or a bookmark. Umu took off one of her boots. She kneeled down and slammed the boot against the surface of the ice. Wonder why she's doing that. Takes off her boot and slams it down. Oh, she's probably trying to scare away the whales. All right. The boot made a loud spanking sound. Ulak watched for a moment, then took off one of his boots and slapped it against the surface of the ice. Maybe they'll hear this, Umu said. Ooh, who's they? Like maybe some people from the village? Oh, so maybe she's making noise to try to get help. I hope they do, she added. But she knew that it was still raining a little bit and that the rain made noise. She also knew that she and Ulak were far from shore. Too far. They were more than a mile from the tent. She guessed that the sounds they made with their boots were lost in the rain and the slight breeze that was still blowing from the south. So she's thinking, oh, we're trying to make noise, but no one's going to hear us. They're over a mile from the shore, and the wind and the rain were pretty loud. From time to time, Umu glanced to the ocean. She hoped that she would see the killer whales moving far away. She hoped that the sound of the boots would scare them away, but each time she looked in their direction, she saw them moving back and forth, just past the top of the C-shaped ice floe. Ooh, how do you think she might be feeling right now? She keeps looking to see if the killer whales are moving farther and farther away, but they're not. They're just kind of going back and forth near the top of the ice floe. She's probably scared. I would be scared. Suddenly, Ulak tugged on Umu's shoulder and pointed toward the whales. His eyes were wide. He looked as if he was ready to cry. I know, Umu said. Oh, I wonder what she means. I know. Yeah, maybe like, I know they're out there, you know. Her voice was almost a whisper. Just keep trying to signal, she said. Maybe the people on the shore will hear us. As she pounded her boot against the surface of the ice, she stared toward the shore. She wanted to see a kayak moving silently through the rain. She wanted to hear the signal of a bell ringing. She wanted to... Okay, so there she stopped. I wonder why she stopped. She interrupted. Let's find out. Suddenly, she saw something white moving through the water. So she saw something. Wonder what that white thing could be. You making a prediction? At first, she thought it was a chunk of ice. But no, it couldn't be. It was not moving the way ice moves. It was very hard to tell what it was through the light rain. It wasn't a kayak. It wasn't a long boat. It was... Usk. Usk was swimming directly toward the ice chunk. And he was moving very fast. Usk! Umu yelled as loudly as she could. Usk! She stood up and waved her arms. She's like, we're over here. The huge polar bear caught up to the ice chunk when it was not more than 100 meters away from the killer whales. Will they go after Usk? Ulu asked. He's wondering if the killer whales are going to go after Usk. So now the whales are about 100 meters away. So remember, if we stretch our arms out, that's about 1 meter. So about 100 of these, like after you stretch your arms out, 100 meters away. They'll go after Usk if they're hungry, Umu replied. We've got to get out of here fast. The huge bear swam up to the ice chunk, put his huge paws on the surface, and started to climb onto it. He like puts his paws up on the ice chunk. It's like he's going to climb up there. When he tried that, he almost tipped it over. It's so heavy, right? No, Umu said. Stay down. She tried to push him back. He rolled into the water and made a playful circle. He was like, ooh, should we play? Give me your laces, Umu said to Ulak. Umu and Ulak untied the laces from their boots. I wonder what they're going to do. These laces were long, thick strips of animal skin. Umu tied all the laces together. Quickly, she glanced back. The ice chunk was less than 100 meters from the killer whales. Getting closer? She called Usk. He playfully swam around the ice chunk, rolling over on his back and slapping the water with his front paws. So he doesn't seem very worried. He's kind of playing and slapping the water. Umu waited until Usk got close to the shore side of the ice chunk. So she's waiting until Usk is on the shore side, so the side closest to the shore. I wonder what Umu's going to do. Then she slipped the laces around his neck. She's making like a leash. Hang on tight, she told Ulak, and she handed him one end of the laces. She and Ulak sat down on the ice chunk and tried to dig their heels into dents in the surface of the ice. So they're trying to dig their heels in so they don't kind of slip right off the front. You can kind of see that in the picture there. So they're digging their heels in right here in the ice chunk so that they don't just slide forward and fall into the water. Play sled, she told Usk. Play sled. Go home. Like they used to do on land, playing like they're on a sled and he's pulling them. All right, please read the rest of the story to yourself. Find out 2 things. Find out what Usk did at first, and find out something he may have seen that made him stop being playful. All right, if you're not finished reading, go ahead and pause the video. You can finish reading the story. If you are finished, I'd like you to think about, what did Umu keep telling Usk to do? Yeah, she kept telling him to go home, play sled. Go home, Usk. And everybody, did Usk do that at first? No, not at first. At first, he just rolled over. He kept wanting to play. And then he saw something that maybe made him stop being playful. We're not really sure, but maybe. Yeah, he saw the fins of the killer whales. And then what did Usk do? He started swimming towards shore. Nice job. Everybody, look at the picture. What are Umu and Ulak hanging on to? Yeah, the laces from their boots. So they took off the laces from their boots and now they're hanging onto them, and part of it is around Usk's neck, sort of like a leash. All right, so I hope that Usk is going to deliver them safely to shore. Hope so. All right, so what's next? I would like you to please reread the story one more time on your own, and then you're going to answer the questions at the end of the story. Remember, you don't need to write them down, but you should be able to answer them correctly. And then you're going to complete your workbook. And your workbook for today is exercise 21, lesson 21, which looks like this. And then you're going to submit some photos for me of pages 37 and 38. So the first question says, what are clouds made of? Remember, clouds are made of tiny drops of water. Made of little teeny tiny drops of water. Okay, and then there's some questions about clouds. So here are those high wispy clouds made of frozen drops of water. And part C, those are the low clouds that bring kind of interesting or bad weather. And then here are the storm clouds that can make hailstones when the hailstones keep going up and freezing and then down and up, freezing. And they form those layers and layers of hail. And there's a bunch of layers there. All right, so that is your homework for today. And then you're going to read for 20 minutes or more. And we do not have a test tomorrow. That's not correct. We had a test last time. So no test tomorrow. All right, have a wonderful rest of your day, second graders, and I will see you again soon. Bye.